What is up, my friends? Welcome to Flippin' Bats. It is that time of year, division previews. From here through the rest of spring training, we're going to go division previews. This episode will be the American League East. We're going to go place by place, team by team, where I think they finish in the division, what their odds are to win the division, and then full 5 through 1 and why I have the division working out the way it does and the way it will. So we're going to go AL East this time. A great division here to talk about. There are honestly multiple teams that you could tell me win this division, and I wouldn't disagree with you whatsoever. So tricky division to talk through. Some really good teams here, and I'm excited to talk about it. So again, it's now March. The season starts in just about 2 weeks over in Tokyo with the Dodgers and Cubs. So division preview time, as it is every year. So let's get some predictions right, and let's start with the AL East. And we're going to start with who I think comes in fifth in this division. Let's get right into it. For me, that's going to be the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tampa Bay Rays are plus 950 to win the AL East. They do what they do every single year, so they're probably going to be better than I imagine. But look, I'm just looking at this team for what it is on the surface. They no real additions. You added Hassan Kim. Um, you're getting Shane McClanahan back as a nasty pitcher, but is he going to be as good as he was before he went down with his injury? So we're talking about no real additions, a team that isn't going to be playing at the Trop. They're not playing at their home stadium. They're playing in a minor league field all year, which is going to suck for them. They're playing at the Tampa Yankees, or they're now the Tarpons, the George Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, where the Yankees play spring training. That's going to be their stadium all year long. So you're playing over there. No real additions. I look at the lineup that has Yandy Diaz at the top, who I think is a good player, but then you go down it and you're just looking at a very, very similar lineup as it has been the last couple of years with Brandon Lau, Junior Caminero. What are you going to get from him? Josh Lowe, Christopher Morel, who I like. I think he's a great dude. Strikes out a lot. Not much depth in the lineup. So I look, I don't think the Tampa Bay Rays are going to be very good. They're probably, like I said, going to do what they do every single year. They're the analytics kings. They're going to find a way to get the absolute best out of everybody on their team. We're going to look up at the end of the year, and they're probably going to be around 500 to a few games over 500. And that's going to be the Tampa Bay Rays season. So, not a ton to talk about with them here. I don't love this team. I don't love that they spend money or that they don't spend money. I've said it time and time again. I get frustrated with teams like this because they're just trying to get by on saying, we are committed to analytics. Well, you don't spend money. You don't spend money on adding anybody to your team. So, like, what you're never going to, in my opinion, analytics, Moneyball doesn't win you championships. We saw the Rays get to the World Series before, but they lost to a team that was far better. Um, I, I think buying into analytics totally and completely is just a lack of spending money and being cheap. And I think the Rays are being pretty cheap here, and they didn't really add much. So I have them coming in fifth in the division. Let's move up to fourth, a team that you certainly can't say is cheap, but you can have many questions about what are they. In fourth place in the AL East, I'm going to have the Toronto Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays are plus 1,300 to win the AL East. You added Anthony Santander, really good addition for them. 800 OPS guy last year, 40 homer guy last year. Add him to an outfield that desperately needed some additions. You add Max Scherzer, a veteran presence in the rotation. Certainly not the Max Scherzer of old, certainly not the multi-Cy Young Award winner Max Scherzer, but to a rotation that is really good with Gosman, Barrios, and now you add Max Scherzer to that. And I think this rotation is what's going to keep them being a good team all year long. Chris Bassett's still there as well. So I look at this team and think, okay, what are they? They have a chance to be a good team. Obviously, a team with George Springer, Anthony Santander, Bo Bichette, Vladdy Guerrero Jr. at the top of the lineup is good. But from there, where are we going? Where is the depth in this lineup? Because you immediately get to like Will Wagner, Alejandro Kirk, Andres Jimenez, um, Ernie Clement. Like what? Not much depth in this lineup. Very top heavy, very good. 1 through 5, I would say. 1 through 4 or 5. Um, so but then, like, what are we? Are we buying? Are we selling? That's where I have my question marks with the Toronto Blue Jays. They don't know their own identity. So how are we supposed to believe in them heading into this season? Year after year, we hear about the Toronto Blue Jays buying in and 700 million on the table for Shohei Ohtani, 700 million on the table for Juan Soto. And then you have a in-house homegrown superstar in Vladdy Guerrero Jr. that it's time to pony up and secure him, and you don't do it. You don't get him extended. So now he's going to be a free agent, and you're probably going to lose him or have to pay a lot more money or trade him at the deadline. So again, Toronto Blue Jays, I have in fourth because lineup, very top heavy, not much depth. Rotation, good. I think they can win a lot of games in this division, but it's just their identity. And for me, over the last few years, it's been the same thing. I've gotten bit time and time again with this team. 2 years ago, I said they could win the division because I believed in them. Well, they have talent, but something's off. Something's off with the identity of the Toronto Blue Jays. Something's off with the front office. Like, why are we willing to spend all of this money elsewhere, but we're not willing to spend on our homegrown talent? And then we see that over the course of the regular season. Things just, I don't know. There's talent, there's a good rotation, there's a top heavy offense. But the identity, they just don't know how to win in Toronto right now. And I'm done believing in them until they prove otherwise. So I could see this year being a above 500 baseball team around the trade deadline and them having to make a very real decision of what do we do with Vladdy Jr., Bo Bichette, who are set to be free agents. And I think that answer is going to be trading one or both of those guys because they've just been the same identity and things need to change there in Toronto. But I do have the Jays coming in fourth in this division. Let's move on to third. My third place team with plus 250 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook to win the AL East is going to be the Baltimore Orioles. Now, the main reason, and again, I'm going to go through all of these teams and talk about them specifically, and then at the end, after I get from 5 through 1, talk about how this division shakes out, why I have each team where I do. I put a lot of thought into this, but I do have the Baltimore Orioles coming in at third in the division. Main reason? It's the same team, but worse than the last few years. You lost Corbin Burns. You didn't supplement that in the rotation by any means. You added Charlie Morton, but we're talking Corbin Burns, Charlie Morton here. One of those things is not like the other, and it's Charlie Morton. You got the other. You lose Anthony Santander in the outfield. You don't really supplement that either. You get Tyler O'Neill. Tyler O'Neill's now in that outfield, but that's not a 40-plus homer guy with an 800-plus OPS. It's a guy that's injury prone that can that can have some pop when playing, but it's not that veteran presence. You didn't really add that solid veteran piece. So I get, again, frustrated with this Orioles team. I have been, from a national media perspective, ahead of the curve believing in this team. From the second Adley Rutschman came up, really good team. Since then, they just refuse to add in free agency. When I thought the door was open, they did nothing at the trade deadline a couple years ago. And then you trade for Corbin Burns, and it's like, okay, that's the exact piece they needed at the top of the rotation. But unfortunately, you have a year where you lose Grayson Rodriguez. You lose a bunch of guys in your rotation and in your offense. You have a really weird year, and then you just tear it all apart. I don't understand why. And then you bring in this new regime, this new ownership that's all rah rah. We're here for Baltimore and we're gonna win, and we just love the O's. but nothing changed. You didn't really do anything in free agency. You're not really adding. I love this young core of a team, right? Gunnar Henderson at the top, MVP candidate. Adley Rutschman, stud behind the plate. Down 2024 year, down second half for sure, but he's going to bounce back. Adley's a stud. It's the same with the Jordan Westbergs and the Colton Cowsers and the Ryan Mountcastles. Like, this offense can be very good. I think the offense will be good. But where's that addition of like a veteran guy that you can plug into the 4 or 5 hole in that lineup and really lengthen things? They weren't even in discussions. You hear some big name guys out there, and Juan Soto and Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman, and I get you have these young guys that you want to play, but there's certainly an open spot in the outfield for Juan Soto. I would say there's an open spot at first base for a Pete Alonso. Third base, I get you like Jordan Westberg a lot. You want to play him. But my point just being, it's the same team. I like the team, but the team hasn't proven that they can win in the playoffs. And it's a team that didn't win the division last year that is worse than they are starting 2025 worse than they were in 2024. And for a team that you have total control of a bunch of young stars to be worse heading into a season than they were last year, in my opinion, is unacceptable. Really frustrated with that front office. And now we head into a season where I want the Orioles to be really good. And they can be really good. And they will be really good. But in a division that has a bunch of really good teams, not adding during an offseason is unacceptable. I have the O's coming in third, and we'll talk about them a little more in depth after we get through who I have winning this division. Let's move on to number 2. My second place team in the AL East this year is going to be the New York Yankees, who are plus 100 on FanDuel Sportsbook to win the division. They are the favorite to win. Let's talk about them. The Yankees, let's just start with the obvious because it's the biggest. The Yankees lose Juan Soto in free agency. When's the last time the Yankees lost a superstar in free agency? Really think about it. Never. An in-house guy that's going to be a A+ free agent that you didn't end up getting. That doesn't happen. This is an unprecedented offseason. Having your superstar, having a future Hall of Famer, and you lose him in free agency. More specifically, you lose him to your crosstown rival in the New York Mets. But let's just hit the nail on the head here. The Yankees don't have Juan Soto. This team is not going to be as good as they were last year. You added Max Fried, like him a lot, and then you supplemented Juan Soto in the lineup by adding Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt. That's not good enough. The offense will not be as good. Now we're dealing with Giancarlo Stanton, tennis elbow in both elbows. What is happening there? How much time is he going to miss? He is a vital piece to that Yankees lineup. Can he run the bases? No. But when healthy over the course of a full season, can he hit you 40+ homers? Yes. But the health has been a major concern with him over the past few years, and it already is a concern with him now. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows how much time he is going to miss, but I have a feeling he's going to miss a chunk of time. As of right now, he's not even swinging a bat. And word out of camp from Aaron Boone and everybody is we don't really know what's happening. We need to get more tests done. So the Yankees, who have a very good team. Again, I want to preface this and then we'll go my whole division thoughts after. But the Yankees are going to be very good. You could tell me the Yankees win the division right now, and I'd say, yep, that does make sense. They are good. They have a rotation of Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Luis Gil, Clark Schmidt. But for that same reason that you could tell me the New York Yankees won the division because of that rotation is why I have them at second in the division. That rotation is exactly why I can say, you know what? I'm going to have the Yankees finishing second here. Max Fried, injury prone. Again, let me preface this with injuries suck. I hope the Yankees stay healthy all year long. And if they do, they win the division. But for that same reason, I do have to take injuries into consideration. And it's already becoming a thing with the Yankees. Giancarlo Stanton, very injury prone, already going to miss time. Max Fried, very injury prone. Carlos Rodon, injury prone, plus like can be really good, can be bad. Luis Heel, American League Rookie of the Year. But sophomore year, what are we expecting from him? Are we expecting him to be that same guy? I have big injury concerns with this rotation and with the Yankees. The lineup already isn't as good as it was last year because you're missing out on Juan Soto. And now Jason Dominguez. Jason Dominguez, I think, is going to be a stud. Are we really plugging him in they want him to lead off? I Is he the guy protecting Aaron Judge? I don't know. Aaron Judge also said he wants to hit third in the lineup. We're not doing that. Aaron Boone said he's going to hit second. So Jason Dominguez, the guy in the lineup, getting on base and setting the table for Aaron Judge. Also, Jason Dominguez. Don't know if you've been keeping up or watching. He is not good in left field, in the outfield in general. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Yes, he can and will get better out there, but right now, he is a liability. Just a lot of question marks with this Yankees team, and I don't believe they are as good as they were last year. I think we're heading into a 2025 for a team that can absolutely win the division. They are one of the better teams in the American League. I just have a lot of question marks for the New York Yankees heading to this season. So I have them finishing second in the division. Let's get to number one. The team that I have winning the American League East with plus 440 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook is the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox added Garrett Crochet, stud pitcher last year. They added Walker Buehler to that rotation as well. They've added Aroldis Chapman to the bullpen. You get Liam Hendricks back in the bullpen, and the big addition right at the buzzer of free agency or ahead of the season is Alex Bregman to play wherever he's going to play, second base, third base, wherever. So now this team is the team that by far got better in the American League East. And this team wasn't great last year. They showed flashes of being good and they were bad at times, but this team is by far the team in the American League East that got better. So now you're looking at a team with Jarren Duran, who I like a lot at the top of the lineup. You have, a very top-heavy lineup with Duran, Devers, Bregman, Cassis, Yoshida. What's going to happen with Trevor Story? Is he going to be healthy all year long? I don't know. But you start looking at this rotation to me, Garrett Crochet, nasty. One full season of being a starting pitcher under his belt. So he will be, I don't know if he'll be better numbers-wise this year. He was nasty last year. But, has more of a knowledge of what it takes to get through a season as a starting pitcher. So Garrett Crochet at the top of the rotation. Tanner Houck with really came on last year and showed a lot of signs of being good. You add to that rotation Walker Buehler. Lucas Giolito will be back and healthy. Brian Bayo, Cutter Crawford. So to me, again, some injury-prone guys here and a lot of question marks in this rotation. But I think there's more question marks, meaning there's more depth, right? Let's say Walker Buehler, I don't even want to throw out a name. Let's say a Walker Buehler, though, ends up getting hurt or not as good as he was in the playoffs last year. Okay, we have many other guys that can step up and be good. I think they have question marks in that rotation, but I think they can be really good. Offensively, again, there is some depth here. I don't think they have maybe the best lineup top to bottom in the division, but in my opinion, this is a team that all the vibes in the world are surrounding them right now. They went out and added, and that clubhouse feels it. So this team that is plus 440 to win the division got so much better. You have other teams around you that got worse in the division that are very injury prone or that I have my concerns with. And if you're the Boston Red Sox, you have a team with an infield that's going to be nasty and Devers, Bregman, Story. You have I think a young blossoming star in the game, Jarren Duran, in the outfield playing center field. So offensively, they will and can be good. Pitching wise, a lot of question marks, but the potential to be very good. So this is risky, right? This was my bold prediction. One of my bold predictions of 2025 is the Boston Red Sox win the division. But the path to me is there. The path, you can see it. Certainly, it might not happen, right? But the path is there. And I think this Boston Red Sox team has the ability. This is this team. They have the ability to finish fourth in the division or to finish first in the division. They have the most leeway one way or another of how this could finish up. But I love the additions. I like the bullpen. I like the rotation a lot. I like the offense, and I love the vibes that are coming out of Boston right now. So I'm going to take the Boston Red Sox to win the division. So AL East standings, bottom to top. I am going Tampa Bay Rays, Toronto Blue Jays, Baltimore Orioles, New York Yankees, and winning the American League East in 2025. Give me the much improved Boston Red Sox. Let's talk about this division because this is a very interesting division, and we're going to do NL East on the next episode. Very similar. Three teams that can very easily win the division, one way or another. And I know it's cliche, but this division is going to boil down to health. More specifically to rotation health. There are three teams that could win: Red Sox, Yankees, Orioles. I do want to talk Orioles a little more in depth because I like this team a lot. I think the young studs, the young stars are going to be really good again. But again, the no additions, they are worse than they were to start the year in 2024. And then if I'm just looking at it, if we're talking off of just what I've seen, right? This is not talking bad about anyone. This is not poo-pooing any team in this division. I would like to see the Orioles win the division, in fact. I like this team a lot, but you lose Anthony Santander, you don't supplement him in the lineup. Gunnar Henderson could go 40-40 and win MVP, and Jackson Holliday could take a massive step forward and be the stud that I think he will be. But he's just so young and we haven't yet seen it. Is that going to happen this year? Is Gunnar going to go 40-40? I don't know. Those are all easy paths for them to get to a division title. But it's just a lot that has to go right with a team that didn't get better in terms of on paper offensive pitching additions. You lose Corbin Burns. You lose a Cy Young type of guy at the top of the rotation. So I just have my question marks there. And then I look back on this team in 2024 that didn't win in the playoffs. And this might shock some people, but they were a really good team to start the year. From July 1st through the rest of the regular season, the Baltimore Orioles went 38-41. An under 500 team for almost half of the year. And then they didn't add. They didn't get better. They got worse. So I love the Orioles. I love their young talent. I just can't look at this division right now and say the Baltimore Orioles are going to finish in first place in this division. And a lot of that is the front office not doing what needed to be done for this team that their window ain't going to be open forever. You have control of a bunch of young studs and you're not doing what needs to be done. And it's frustrating to watch. Can they get better throughout the season? Sure. But I'm done believing in this team to do what it takes at the trade deadline too. Who knows what they're going to do? But for right now, my preseason prediction is that this Baltimore Orioles team finishes in third in a very good division. Sort of same thing with the Yankees, and they did try and supplement their big loss of Juan Soto, but to do it with Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt, in my opinion, isn't necessarily the answer. The path for the Yankees to win the division is very clear, right? On paper, if everyone's healthy, the New York Yankees are the division favorite and should win the American League East. But this game isn't played on paper. You guys don't listen to me to hear me say who's the favorite, and that's going to be my pick. The path to see the Yankees come in third place in this division is just as clear as the path to see the Yankees come in first place. So let's split the difference and have them in second place. They're very, very rotation dependent, right? This lineup, once you get down towards the bottom of it, we're talking Austin Wells, Anthony Volpe, Oswaldo Cabrera, DJ LeMahieu, Ben Rice, Dom Smith. Like 6 through 9 or 7 through 9 in this lineup is going to be a liability. And if Stanton's going to be out, we're talking 6 through 9 in the lineup. That's why missing Giancarlo Stanton is going to be huge for this team. Next thing you know, why did the Yankees get to the World Series? Well, there's a couple reasons. One of those, Juan Soto. Obviously, we can talk Aaron Judge. He was the MVP. We're not going to do that. They still have him. He's very good. That's why the Yankees will be good, and he's the favorite to win the American League MVP award. He's going to be good. But they got to the World Series because you had to pitch to Aaron Judge. Everybody was more scared of Giancarlo Stanton in the playoffs than they were Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge was a liability in the playoffs. But you weren't pitching around him because you had Giancarlo Stanton there. You had to pitch to Aaron Judge. So now we're heading into a season where who's the protection for Judge? Cody Bellinger? Paul Goldschmidt? So many question marks. So the lineup has depth issues, and that rotation, which this team is very rotation dependent, right? You could tell me right now that this rotation was the best in baseball at the end of the year, and I'll tell you, okay, the New York Yankees won the division and did some damage in the playoffs. You could also tell me that they dealt with injuries all year long, and the Yankees really struggled because of that. Their big addition of the offseason was Max Fried. A rotation with Garrett Cole and Max Fried at the top is disgusting. But what does it take for them to be the best 1-2 punch in baseball? It takes them both being out there. Garrett Cole missed a big chunk of the year last year. Max Fried missed a big chunk of the year last year. Injury prone. Injury concerns everywhere you look in this rotation. Carlos Rodon, injury concerns. The path for them to finish third in the division is just as clear as the path for them to finish first in the division. They are not as good as they were in 2024. And I think a team that got far better in the Boston Red Sox absolutely could finish first in the division. And that's why I have them there. The additions that they made to that rotation, the addition of Garrett Crochet, who you went and got your ace. Garrett Crochet is going to punch out 200 plus guys, I think, in 2025. You don't even need Walker Buehler was an addition that you can plug into the 4-5 spot in your rotation, right? Tanner Houck is going to slide in there in the 2-3 range. Lucas Giolito, big question marks with him. Question marks with Giolito. Question marks with Bayo. Question marks with Crawford. But all those question marks can be filled from somebody else, right? You have 7 guys that can fill. I don't know if they're going to go a 6-man rotation or 5, but you have 7 guys to fill those spots between Garrett Crochet, Tanner Houck, Walker Buehler, Brian Bayo, Cutter Crawford, Lucas Giolito. I think this rotation can be really good. And then you add to a lineup Alex Bregman. I don't think enough people give Alex Bregman the credit he deserves because you look at the numbers on the surface and they don't scream at you, this is a perennial all-star. But Alex Bregman, as a player to the team, helps everyone. And I talked about this when the Red Sox signed him, but I would not have the Red Sox winning the division if it were not for the addition of Alex Bregman. Bregman helps everyone. He helps the pitching staff. He helps everyone in the offense. He is a brilliant, brilliant baseball mind. And I have the Boston Red Sox winning the AL East in 2025 because of the addition of Alex Bregman. That's how much he adds to a team. So this division is going to be insanely fun to watch. there are 3 teams that have every bit a great chance to win the division, and the Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees, and the Baltimore Orioles. There are 2 teams that I have at the bottom of the division that in any other division could win it, right? The Toronto Blue Jays have very good talent, have the talent to win other divisions, and the Tampa Bay Rays are the Tampa Bay Rays. Their team on paper doesn't make anyone overjoyed and say, "Oh my God, the Tampa Bay Rays are going to be good this year." I don't look at this offseason and say, "Oh my God, the Tampa Bay Rays signed Ha-Sung Kim, season over, Rays are winning the AL East." But they do. That's the same thing they do every year. The biggest surprise of the Tampa Bay Rays offseason over the last decade has been that Wander Franco is arrested in the Dominican and ain't going to be playing for the team anymore, right? They don't make any big splashes. But you look up at the end of the year, and with a month to go, there's a chance for them to get in the playoffs. They're hovering somewhere between that 500 and 5 games over 500 mark, and they're probably going to do the same thing again this year. So the Rays can and probably will be a decent baseball team. Blue Jays, really good talent. Could win any other division. Orioles, Yankees, Red Sox, all really good. I think all make the playoffs, and the AL East is going to be a dominant division from top to bottom to watch. So this has been the AL East preview. Keep watching. We're going to do shows throughout the course of spring training. Some division previews, some just regular shows updating you on everything going on. But this has been the AL East preview. Next show will be the NL East preview. Fairly similar divisions. Some great top-heavy teams in that division and some teams at the bottom that might not be as good. But AL East, I'm going Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees, Baltimore Orioles, Toronto Blue Jays, and Tampa Bay Rays to round it out, who are playing this year at George Steinbrenner Field. We're just a couple weeks away from the regular season starting 2025, the year of Flippin' Bats. I cannot wait for this season, for this baseball season, and to talk baseball with every single one of you. Again, I love this community. I love all of you. This show is about growing the game, talking about the game, celebrating this game that we all know and love. That's what's so important to me, and I'm so appreciative of every single one of you that listens and appreciates this show and has been a part of this community for years or days. Doesn't matter to me, but make sure you subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen, Apple, Spotify, wherever. You can watch every episode on our YouTube channel, Flippin' Bats Pod, and you can follow us on all social media at Flippin' Bats Pod on all social media, wherever you want to check us out. But that does it for the AL East preview, my friends. 2025, bold prediction. Boston Red Sox are your AL East champs. That does it. Until next time, the NL East preview. Enjoy the spring training. Enjoy baseball being back. And remember, find your bat and flip it.